Get ready to be jolted out of the ordinary and into a world where conversations are charged with intensity and facts. The Lightning Strike Talk Radio with your host, Mohammed Faheem, broadcasting live from the heart of the city on Chicago's Progressive Talk Radio, WCPT 820 AM. Welcome to a radio show that charges through the airwaves with an electricity like no other. Here's your host, Mohammed Faheem.
Good morning, folks, and welcome to another Sunday with us on the Lightning Strike over here. I'm your host, Mohammed Faheem, coming to you live every Sunday from WCPT 820 AM, Chicago's Progressive Talk radio station. Joining me today is our team of Mike Patino and Chris Hilbert, and Ms. Hernandez has joined us. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And in the second hour, we will be joined by Congresswoman Marie Newman and also Attorney Maria Mozaffar. And the conversation continues. If you want to join the conversation, the number to call in is 773-763-9278. And if you would like to text us, you can do that at the same number. But I wanted to start off today about what the heck happened in Washington this week. Anybody following it? At 4:17 in the morning, okay? I mean, these guys were putting in some hours, folks. At 4:17 in the morning, something happened in Washington. Now, you may be wondering, I mean, is it the Placid or whatever meteor showers that are coming in, and did a meteor hit Washington and hit it in the right place? No, but here's what happened, okay? At 4:17 in the morning on August 8th, the United States Senate confirmed Todd Blanche as the Attorney General by a vote of 50 to 49. Every Democrat voted against him. Man, they're finally getting some steel in their spine, the Democrats, right? Republican Senators Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski also voted no. One senator did not vote. I wonder which senator that was, so we'll come back to that later. Is that the one who's supposed to be alive but not supposed to be alive? I don't know. Mm-hmm. So this was not an ordinary confirmation, folks. Todd Blanche was not simply another lawyer nominated to lead the Justice Department, or should I say another liar? Nah, let's keep it at lawyer. He was Donald Trump's personal attorney. He represented Trump in criminal cases. And now, the man who once defended Donald Trump is the Attorney General of the United States, overseeing the very department responsible for federal law enforcement and prosecution. What is just the irony of this thing blows me away. That transition should make every American stop and ask a very simple question. Who does the Attorney General work for? The President, the Republican Party, the Justice Department, or the American people? Because those are not always the same things. How did Blanche get confirmed? Let's look into it, okay? This confirmation was not a smooth process. It became a political battle that stretched late into the night. Imagine 4:17 a.m., man. And ultimately delayed other Senate business. The Senate did not even adjourn for its summer recess until Blanche's confirmation fight had concluded. So the Senate Judiciary Committee advanced Blanche's nomination on August 4th, right, by a 12-10 party line vote. So we have to again look at this, folks. Everything is happening party line, okay? But several Republicans themselves had serious concerns. Susan Collins announced that she would vote against him. Lisa Murkowski also opposed him, and they kept their word, right? And there were concerns about a proposed, remember that $1.8 billion slush fund / arrangement involving tax immunity and an anti-weaponization fund? that critics believed could benefit Trump and his allies, Blanche ultimately provided written assurances that that controversial arrangement was dead. And we're going to keep a very, very close eye on the performance of Mr. Blanche. And then there was Senator Bill Cassidy. Cassidy ultimately provided the critical Republican vote that allowed Blanche to reach 50. Cassidy's argument was essentially that Blanche's experience and competence were preferable to the uncertainty of leaving the Justice Department under an unelected successor. So when people ask whose arm was twisted, yeah, we got to be very careful over here, okay? Unless a senator tells us privately that their arm was twisted, we cannot honestly claim that someone threatened or bribed them. But we all know what is happening, right? 90% plus of our elected representatives are bought and paid for, and they sell their vote to special interests. And we're not going to name those special interests today, okay? But we can examine the political pressure. The Trump administration publicly pushed Republican senators to confirm Blanche. Okay, Trump wants to keep his hiney out of prison. We all know that. Cabinet officials publicly urged senators to support him. Why would they do that? They all have skin in the game, folks. Republican leadership had an enormous incentive to get the president's chosen attorney general confirmed before the Senate left Washington. And Blanche ultimately got the votes. That is politics. But the bigger question is what this political fight tells us about the state of American institutions, right? The Attorney General is supposed to be different. The Attorney General is not supposed to be the president's personal lawyer. He was that in a previous life. The Attorney General is supposed to be the nation's chief law enforcement officer. Let's not forget it. The Justice Department is supposed to enforce federal law independently and fairly. That independence is one of the foundations of the rule of law. And this is where Blanche confirmation becomes so consequential, okay? Because public perception problem is enormous. No one wants to trust this guy. If the Attorney General was previously the president's personal lawyer, how does the public know that decisions involving the president's political opponents will be made independently? Fair question, right? How does the public know that investigations are based on evidence rather than political loyalty? How does the public know that allies of the administration will receive the same treatment as their perceived enemies? And I'm using the word perceived very, very carefully over here because, yeah, a lot of people, when you ask a question of the administration, you're immediately put on the enemies list. And perhaps more importantly, what happens when the Attorney General has to tell the President, no? That is the test. Not whether Todd Blanche is personally competent, not whether he's conservative or liberal, not whether you like Donald Trump. The test is whether the Attorney General can say, Mr. President, I cannot do that because the law does not allow it. That is what an independent Justice Department looks like. Look at what happened with Jeanine Pirro, right? I mean, she was walking out of the White House or the West Wing with a tote bag. I don't know if she's still going to be there or not because she dared to stand up to the orange blob over there in the White House. But folks, coming back to Todd Blanche, this is bigger than Todd Blanche. I want to make something very clear this morning. This monologue is not about Todd Blanche alone. It is about institutional power. We have reached a point where Americans increasingly see government through the lens of partisan loyalty. Republicans trust Republicans and the Republican institutions. Democrats trust Democrats and the Democratic institutions. Conservatives believe federal agencies are weaponized against them. Liberals believe those same agencies are being captured by political loyalists. And us, ordinary Americans, are standing in the middle asking, who's telling the truth? That is dangerous. Because democracy cannot function if every institution is trusted only when it produces the outcome your political side wants. We need institutions that can survive presidents. The Justice Department must survive Donald Trump. I am going to end on this note over here. The Justice Department must survive the next president and the president after that, because presidents come and go, the institutions remain. This is the Lightning Strike. I'm your host, Mohammed Faheem, on WCPT 820 AM every Sunday morning. You can find us on our website, tlsradio.com. Don't forget to go and subscribe and support what we are trying to do over here with independent journalism. And I want to bring my team back into the conversation. Okay, guys, what say you? Todd, Blanche, do you think he's going to be fair?
No way.
Absolutely not. No,
he hasn't
impossible.
showed any sign of knowing how to be fair and to follow the law. All he knows how to do is follow Donald Trump. And he's just a puppet of Trump.
Yep, my question, as an American, Chris, is can I trust my government? Can I trust the Justice Department? Can I trust the courts? Can I trust the elections? Can I trust the media? And more importantly, does anybody in Washington actually work for me?
At the moment,
I'm going to say, sorry, Chris.
Go ahead.
I wouldn't put too much emphasis on the Democratic Party being all in unison against Trump. That's one thing they have learned that they can do. I mean, they can all rah-rah against Trump, and that's all we hear. But the party has failed consistently when through political trading and chicanery. And I'm quoting Bernie Sanders right now, because I'm tired of letting the Democratic Party off the hook just because every once in a while they vote against Trump. But they seem to always lose the vote, don't they? There's always one or two margins here. We had a couple Republicans come over to the right side of the force, but they how many votes have they been losing? So let me bear with me. It's a quick one. The party has failed consistently when through political trading and chicanery, it has fallen into the control of those interests, personal and financial, which think in terms of dollars instead of terms of human values. I mean, that's our current corporate Democratic Party. The Schumers, the Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi's, wherever she is. Is she still alive? I don't even know.
Yeah, we haven't seen her. Maybe she's with McConnell.
We need proof of life of Nancy Pelosi.
We do need proof of life of Nancy Pelosi.
Maybe she's in the hospital with what's his face?
McConnell.
But anyway, but Bernie says,
Mike,
let me finish. Hold on.
Mike, hang on one second. Did you say maybe she's in the hot seat or hospital?
No. Let me tell you something. All right. Bernie Sanders is absolutely right. They're pretty soon they're going to be calling Bernie a communist. I mean, it's ridiculous. They're acting like all the voters and all the progressive champions are like communists, and that we're on the wrong side of everything. And the party is still trying to hold on to its neoliberal ways. One more quote, and I'll move on. Okay. The party must wholly go one way or wholly the other way. It cannot face in both directions at the same time, which is what they're always trying to do. Okay?
Yep.
And Mike, I don't understand. I don't understand the term centrist Democrat. Please explain that to me. What is a centrist Democrat, Chris?
It's very easy. It's a Reagan Republican with a D after their name. That's exactly what it is.
It's a Reagan Republican with a D after their name. Folks, if you are listening in, feel free to join the conversation. We are having a lot of fun over here this morning. The number to call in, or you can text us at 773-763-9278. That segment is What's on Your Mind? We need you to be part of the conversation, and that is sponsored by our friend Ray Hanania. Okay, so going back to centrist Democrats. I mean, who comes up with these kind of, you know, monikers?
I don't know who comes up with them, but it's a very good what's the word I'm looking for, way to manipulate the less informed voters and making it sound like the Democrats are more on the people's side at the moment than they truly are. Because Democrats say they're for the people. They do a few token votes that kind of prove that they are on the side of the people. But it's pretty amazing, like Mike mentioned, they can't get anything passed. They can't, they they really don't do much for we the people, the hourly wage earners, the average worker. They're struggling out there, and the Dems in DC don't care. But now they've had enough, right? And they're finally electing some people like Mamdani as mayor of New York City, and they elected Dr. Abdul El Sayed in Michigan to run for Congress in November.
Senate,
So
Senate,
Senate, I
Chris.
mean, yes,
Senate. Yep.
Senate. So yeah, they're finally waking up and doing good, and hopefully they will be able to keep the people in mind and not switch over with the and side with the Schumers and the Pelosi's
And the
and the
Jeffries. Don't
Clintons
let's not forget our
and
good friend,
Jeffries. Oh, yeah,
Hakeem Jeffries. Okay.
yeah,
He actually, I think they wanted to name him Jeffrey, but they figured he's got multiple personalities, so let's make him Jeffries.
He's multiple, all right.
Okay.
Hey, let's get back to your rant because I love your rants. And I call them rants.
Yep.
Maria calls them what beautiful things. But and they are beautiful rants. But let's not give Susan Collins a pass. She's being 100 billionaires are donating to Susan Collins. Let's make it clear that even though she votes against Trump, she's still a billionaire baby. All right, and so we got to get rid of her. Is unfortunately Plattner's not there, but this other guy Jackson, he might pull it off. You never know.
And
yeah.
coming back to Michigan, Chris, Abdullah Sayed, and even Zoran Mamdani, the party tried their best to block these two guys from winning.
They did.
I mean, so no thanks to the party leadership that these guys fought the establishment
And
and
what?
won against them. And now, you know who came up with endorsing Dr. Al Sayed the other day?
Who?
Our old friend Kamala Harris.
Oh, oh
What?
wow.
I mean, what a joke. She wants to be relevant in the conversation and latch on to the wind that is blowing. So she came out and endorsed Abdullah Sayed. I'm like, please don't. Don't let your shadow fall on this man over
Oh
here.
no, I don't want to even want to have her picture in his picture.
Right. Well, that may be why they're doing. Maybe they figure that that's the way to get people not to vote for him, is to have some of the worst of the status quo Dems. I call them squids, status quo Dems. Um,
I like that.
support the people that they really don't like. And I don't understand why they want corporate money over the people. You can get money from the people if you deliver on your promises.
Well, let's look at. I'm glad you brought that up, Chris. Let's see how much money did Bernie Sanders raise from $5 donations from the common people.
Yeah, and
Okay.
still
Lots of
is.
money. Lots of
Now,
money. Still is.
what's his name? Abdul Sayed ran on the basic principle of Medicare for all,
Hmm.
and he ran on taking money out of politics and putting money back into the pockets of the common people.
Yeah,
That is a powerful, powerful formula for winning, especially today. I mean, we are spending billions of dollars in wars overseas, and we're going to come back to that in the 8:30 segment over here. And there's not enough money to pay our veterans, to pay the salaries of school teachers, to put food on the table for school lunches? What is wrong with this picture?
It's the Democratic Party. I'm going to get back to this again. The Democratic establishment lost, and they're trying to, desperately trying to make it look like they didn't lose it. It's the communists' fault. AIPAC spent $50 million in Gretchen Whitmer's endorsed Stevens. Chuck Schumer endorsed Stevens. And Al Sayed won anyway, getting back to Michigan again. He
Yep.
won anyway.
Now that is a very powerful testament to the American public waking up, Mike. We
Yeah.
have finally had enough. We are seeing, there is no wizard behind this curtain. All we are seeing is the people sitting behind the curtain are into just demagoguery and lining up their own pockets. Folks, this is the state of our country today, okay? This is where progressive radio, progressive thought comes in. The very word progressive is so impressive, isn't it? And they twist it around and say, oh no, these are communists. Where in the world do we have a communist government at the moment? Can anyone of you tell me? Okay.
China, maybe.
China, maybe it's more of an oligarchy in China.
Yeah, more of an oligarchy.
You know what the Communist Manifesto of Karl Marx and all of that. Do you think they are following that in China? If they did, China would not be as prosperous as it is right now. Okay, but we have to have a dog whistle over here. It is either, oh no. You know what? These people are communists. Oh no. Islam is taking over the country. Sharia law. Folks, Sharia law is my own personal law for me at home and in my family dealings and in my personal space. Do you have one country or one state in America that has got Sharia law? And these guys, they set up a caucus in Congress, believe it or not, okay? Anti-Sharia law caucus. These guys need their head examined if they can pull it out of the behind of Donald Trump. That is the problem. Their head is no longer there that we can look at, okay? It's so far up Trump's hiney that they don't know what they are saying. It comes out amplified through the backside, and they start saying all of this nonsense. Maria Mozaffar has joined us in the first hour today. Good morning, Maria.
Oh, she's here already? Oh,
Yes,
nice.
she's here already. Let's see if
Good morning.
she unmutes herself and starts joining us. But it's 8:28, and you are tuned in to the Lightning Strike. We'll take a quick break and say thank you to a couple of businesses that supported us at our annual dinner in Bolingbrook. And thank you also to Mary Alexandra Basta, the mayor of Bolingbrook, for supporting us, and also the Cook County Treasurer Maria Pappas for coming out to support us. And these two businesses, Slaw Burger and Taste of Jerusalem, actually supported us by donating some great food. And I want to get a couple of messages from them before we continue the conversation. So here goes.
Thank you.
That sound? That's a smash burger hitting the grill at Slaw Burger. Handcrafted patties topped with our signature house-made slaw, made fresh every single order, no shortcuts. Craving something bold? Try the Slawsome, mango habanero, or garlic parmesan wings. Halal options available. Dine in, grab takeout, or order delivery. Don't forget to join Slaw Burger Rewards, because free food should be part of the deal. Find us in Palatine, Schaumburg, and Plainfield. Slaw Burger. Bold flavor lives here.
Order online at theslawburger.com.
And the other business that stepped up to support us and bring in some great falafel and hummus and everything is Taste of
Craving
Jerusalem.
something real? Taste of Jerusalem brings authentic Middle Eastern cuisine to Plainfield. Sink your teeth into vertical rotisserie chicken and beef shawarma, tender lamb kebab, or our signature combination plate. 3 skewers of beef, chicken, and kafta. Every entree comes with hummus, baba ganoush, or fresh Jerusalem salad on the side. Vegetarian or veggie plate as you covered, falafel, tabbouleh, and stuffed grape leaves. Taste of Jerusalem, 16310 South Lincoln Highway, Unit 108, Plainfield, Illinois.
So those
I
are the two
love this.
businesses that we wanted to say thank you to for supporting us. And if you want to get your message on the Lightning Strike Radio now, Ms. Hernandez has joined us to lead that part of the business. And
Yes, I miss.
Ms., you want to
How's it
introduce
going,
yourself?
folks?
Yeah, well, we should turn 825 into Mrs. segment. He's in charge of marketing, and this should be, he get two or three, just like you just did. He lines up some really nice stuff for us. This is Mrs. segment.
Okay. So if you want to, we have decided to take minimal advertising from businesses that support the progressive agenda. Okay, small businesses, medium businesses, no big corporations. So please keep that in mind, and you can send an email to Riz, not Riz, Ms. Sorry, okay,
Is
to Ms. at tlsradio.com. That is MIZ at tlsradio.com, and Ms. will get back to you with how you can get your message on the radio with us over here. And it's not just the radio. We are on multiple channels after the show. So we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, we are on Instagram, we are on SoundCloud, we are on Apple, Spotify, we are on you name it. Okay, and for that part of the help that we are getting, I would like to thank Brendan Bond, who is our intern. Brendan is getting us on Spotify and all of those other channels. Okay, coming back to the conversation, 8:32, we are right here. I wanted to talk about something that is happening on August 15th, folks. We are actually sponsoring an event on August 15th. That's going to be at the Talif Collective in Pilsen. There is a movie that was produced locally by Riz Ahmed and about 3 other producers called The Mustache. It's about a 14-year-old boy over here and how his life was impacted. It's going to be a great movie. The Lightning Strike Radio Show is one of the sponsors for the premiere. The national premiere of this movie is going to be at the Talif Collective, okay? And you can find more information about it online, and I'll be sharing more information as we go forward. And I just saw Maria pop up, but Maria has popped back out. So, okay.
There you go. Maybe she went back to sleep.
Nope, I think she's got better things to do than chat with us. Come on, Mike.
No, that's impossible.
But one more sponsor that has joined
Injured
us
in an
is
accident?
Riz.
Ticketed for DUI or traffic violations? You need Riz, injury law on your side. Attorney Riz Ali fights for you, specializing in auto accidents, medical malpractice, slip and falls, traffic tickets, DUI and DWI. Call 312-546-5109 now. That's 312-546-5109. One more time, 312-546-5109. Your story matters, and Riz Injury Law will fight to make sure.
Okay, so let's continue the conversation. I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button at the wrong time. We'll go back and play Riz's ad. But we did meet Riz at the Chicagoland Halal Festival yesterday. Mike, what was your take on what happened yesterday, man? At the Kane County Fairgrounds, this place was buzzing yesterday.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. It was simply amazing. It was there's so many vendors there. They had a whole line of food trucks with delicious food. As you know, I was eating half of it, and it was great. Ms. and I really enjoyed it, and they had unbelievable amount of vendors there with beautiful dresses and jewelry, and people were just milling around, and they had excellent VIP area that we attended later on that afternoon at 3 o'clock or so, where the some governors. You'll probably want to speak on that, Mohammed, because you were hobnobbing with all the mayors and all the VIPs, where Ms. and I were just like following you in your wake.
Well,
But
most of the VIPs that we call them, Mike, my definition of VIP, you know what it is?
what?
Very ignorant person.
Oh my goodness, that's a little harsh.
I know because I run into so many of these, people who think they know everything and they want to be treated, exceptionally above others. And I'm like, excuse me. I met a couple of them, but the rest of them were real VIPs, okay? Uh, Mayor John Lesh was there,
Yes.
and Mayor Clint Hunt was there from Crystal Lake. Great gentleman, great pedigree. I mean, he was a judge for 15 years and
Hmm.
he retired, and he is the mayor over there. And we had also Mayor Worley from Naperville there. There were about four mayors, the Consul General of Pakistan, the uh, Consul General appointee of Egypt was there, and quite a few people. It was so wonderful, and uh, the festival continues today, folks, at the Kane County Fairgrounds. We are not going to be there, but you can go and check it out. It's just phenomenal. So the weather was nice. It was a little bit hot, but open air. And they were saying that they had 60 more vendors on the waiting list.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
Shafiq Abu Bakr, who is the president of and the founder of the Muslim, what is that, Chamber of Commerce, Chicago Muslim Chamber of Commerce, he and his team put this together. About 140 vendors were on
Yes.
display,
Wow.
about 40 food booths.
Yes.
It is very difficult to put an event like this together, and kudos and hats off to Shafiq and his team for making this happen in Chicago. And don't let the word halal, uh, you know, freak you out. Is yeah, what is halal? Yeah, halal is just one way of humanely processing animals for food. Okay, and there's no magic in there. So we're not going to go and say halal is magic. Hell no, it's just the humane way of slaughtering an animal and taking the name of God when you do the slaughtering and using it only for food. That is what halal is. And there were plenty of options over there. Heck, I mean, Mike ate some shrimp,
It was delicious.
and we don't
Delicious.
slaughter shrimp, Mike. We just eat them. Okay.
No, we just catch them and eat them.
Okay. So that's the fun part of it. Go and check it out today. We are not going to be spending too much time talking about halal food over here, but hey, that is supposed to be healthy, okay? And a lot of the people are turning towards halal foods now in America. I mean, if you go to New York, you'll see those vendors now, hot dog vendors on the street, halal hot dog vendors, and there's
Oh
lines in
wow.
front of those.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool.
and it is delicious because we put a lot of spices on our food. Okay.
Well, if I can say one more thing about that, it was just I called Chris a couple times during the course of the day when I was there and
Uh-huh.
just told her how beautiful it was with the peaceful, happy feeling of the whole event. It was just so relaxing, so much fun. Everybody was in a good mood. Everybody's happy. They had music going in the background. It was just a wonderful event. I
It,
can't
it,
wait till we go next year.
it sure was. And next year, yeah, we will definitely promote something like that. Any event that you have, folks, that you need promotion on, that you're doing something here in the Chicagoland area, feel free to let us know. Send us an email at tls820am at gmail.com. And if I am in a good mood and Mike says, yes, we can do it, we will talk about your event on the air. Okay.
Yes, yes. I look forward to it. I really do. We made a
Oh,
lot of friends there. We introduced Ms. the marketing guy to all the marketing women. He had like an entourage of five young marketing women that were looking at him with adoring eyes.
Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. So, Ms., I think you'll pretty soon you'll end up with a Mrs. Is that what the plan is?
No, they were a little
Install
young. They were only the oldest one was 25, and she had none of them when I asked them. Any of you married? Just joking around because they're so young. They all said, "Oh no, hell no."
Well, maybe because they saw you, Mike.
Well, I
Did
kind
you
of look
did
like
did
her.
you did you did you go behind a screen and had Miz standing in front of the screen?
No, no, no,
And
no.
see,
They look-
you would have had a
I was
different
more I
result.
was more of a daddy complex there.
Okay, but coming back to what is happening in our world and our tax dollars and how we are misspending it, I wanted to bring the focus back on Iran and the Strait of Hormuz and the possibility of a ceasefire. How many ceasefires has Donald Trump announced that never were ceasefire? By my count, about 39 so far.
I was going to say something close to like 78, but I'll take your number.
Okay,
It's like
because
every
every
two
time,
hours, right? Flip,
yeah,
flip, 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 flip.
every time we try to have a ceasefire, Netanyahu gets on the horn and tells Donald Trump, "Really? You want me to release those Epstein files?" And then, boom. Okay.
Yes.
When was the last time we spoke about the Epstein files? Because they keep on putting these distractions,
Yeah,
folks.
what happened to the Epstein files? It's not on CNN anymore.
Yep. But I wanted to ask a question to our listeners and to our panel over here. Did military pressure bring Iran to the negotiating table, or did the economic and strategic costs of the war force Washington and Tehran towards diplomacy?
Oh,
That's a
definitely.
really good question.
That's the second case because, Iran forced the United States into realizing they had to do something different because Hegseth even admitted they're running out of weapons. And where are they getting all their weapons? Well, if they didn't know this getting into the war, China and Russia are allies of Iran.
Yep.
Uh, they got unlimited amount of weaponry coming from the missiles can last forever. And most of the military was trying to tell them they knew that, but who are they going to talk to? Hegseth?
Hegseth doesn't listen to anybody but Trump.
Well, no, no, no. Hexet, here's the thing. Hexet again has got his head so far up Trump's hiney that he actually hears the echo in his brain.
It's
Okay.
ridiculous.
Uh,
It is ridiculous, folks. And meanwhile, we are looking at again spending billions of dollars of our taxpayer money, not just what we are seeing at the front end, because we are borrowing that money from other countries and we are paying a high
interest.
rate of interest. Nobody follows these things, Chris, and that is what is so amazing because our government wants us to talk about, oh, gas prices have gone up, my groceries has gone up, my insurance is going up. Meanwhile, on the back end, Trump has filed, the largest increase in his personal wealth this year.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of the media, especially the legacy slash mainstream media, corporate owned media. They're all pretty much the same at this point.
Absolutely.
They are doing a form of manipulation by not talking about it. People are so stressed and so worried about the cost of everything and how their income is not keeping pace with inflation at all and how they're struggling. And so if the media doesn't talk about it, they don't have time to figure out or find out what's going on. And that's why it's so important what we do. We're talking about stuff that are important that the corporate owned media refuses to touch.
And you will not find this conversation on any legacy
No,
media channel. I'll guarantee you that, folks, okay?
that's right. That's right.
Because the corporate overlords will not allow that to happen. And I'm so glad that we have a station like WCPT over here in the Chicagoland area that allows this kind of conversation to happen every
Yeah.
Sunday, okay? And we are so glad that you're listening to us.
Yeah, we
We
like to
have,
hear from these people out there listening. Chris has the phone number. Is that still a good number, Chris?
As far as I know.
yep,
And then you
773
just keep Chris's face up there
763.
for a second. Everybody can see the number.
Well, if they are watching us on Facebook, they can see the number. But for those listening to us live on WCPT or heartlandsignal.com worldwide, the number to call in is 773 763 9278. Okay, so 846, a couple of quick breaks over here for us. If you want to get your message on the air, we are looking for sponsors for a segment that we are going to be launching called, what was the name again, Chris, that we came up with?
Friday
Trail,
evening, right?
trail,
Yeah.
Trailblazers.
Trailblazers. Yep.
Trailblazers.
Yeah,
That's a good
Trailblazers
one.
is a segment that we are going to be launching, and definitely we are looking for sponsorship for that. And also, we are coming up with another live in person meeting that we want to do. We're calling it We the People. Okay? So, let me explain to you what We the People is going to be about. In a nutshell, we want to meet with you personally at least once a month, and that is going to be in a local restaurant or some place like that that has space to meet, and there's going to be no politics, so you can be from any side of the aisle, and you can be from no side of the aisle, you can be from no aisle, but let's meet in person and talk about what is happening in our country, again, without putting a political angle on it, right? Because it's we, the people. That is the first thing that we want to do, and not let these corporate giants and corporate sponsors and others drive the agenda. Especially, this is going to be a wake-up call for the Democratic Party leadership. So if you want to be a part of that, do let us know, and we will be talking about that. We'll be posting information on our socials about where we are going to be meeting. It's usually going to be in the evening on a weekday, so you can just come on in on your way back home, spend a few minutes, and let's get to see what is happening in our country. So we the people.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And that's why we're going to that restaurant, that friend of yours who sponsored us. And then I'd like to also go down to revisit the Illinois Progressives down in the Aurora area with John Lesh and see if we can get him engaged in it. Because the most important thing with this outreach program, and I was a union representative for many years, you have to forge personal relationships with people to make things happen.
Absolutely. Speaking of John Lesh, I ran into John yesterday. I'm going to get him on the radio to talk about it. He said today he's going to be very busy because he already has his schedule full. But our good friend Irwin, who lost the race to John, what a sore loser, okay? I mean,
Republican.
okay. This is so different. He has launched a recall petition against the mayor who was elected. Okay. I mean, this is funny but not funny. The mayor and one of the aldermen, okay, they want them to be recalled. Okay, yeah, recall them all you want. The people have elected them, Irvin. Shut up and get back into the hole that you crawled out of with all the corruption deals that were there in your administration. You want to recall a mayor who got elected fairly? Come on.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. And I have an open invitation to ex-mayor Irwin, or former mayor Irwin, not ex-mayor, to come on the lightning strike and talk about this recall petition. What do you have in mind? I mean, why are you doing this?
Yeah, he'll
I'll be
come on our
happy
show
to.
just like Sean Caston came on our show and Brad Snyder came on our show.
Of course.
They will never show up on this show.
Okay. Hey, but I'm going to extend an invitation to him, okay? And if he does not want to, we have every right to talk about these things. But we the people, this is going to be real people, folks. Real people, real conversations, no political labels. And if you have a space in the Chicagoland area that you would like to host us, do let us know. We have been invited by Taste of Jerusalem in Plainfield to do that at their facility. Okay, he was like, please do it at my restaurant over here. They have space for 65 people, and he said that I can block off 2 spaces in the parking lot to where we can have even an outside sitting. Okay.
Nice.
Cool.
So, yeah, these are the kind of people that we would like to support also. Okay. Again, it's going to be real people, real conversations, no political labels. And you will get more information as we proceed. I think we're going to have the first We the People conversation in September. Probably on a Wednesday evening, say from 7 to 8:30 or so. A short meeting, come by. You don't have to buy a ticket. You don't have to do anything. You just show up, and we'll give you a podium to talk about what you want to talk about. And we will invite some of the elected representatives also to come. So if they want to come and they want to answer you in person, yep. So we will do that. Okay, 8:52. I think that Maria has joined again. Or is she there in the meeting? Let me take a look. Yeah, Maria has joined. Good morning, Maria.
Hi, good morning. I'm just thinking, can you hear me? I think
Yeah.
the Jerusalem place sounds like it would be a perfect place. And honestly, having open public comment is a great way to break the echo chamber too. So very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they helped us out with our fundraising dinner also, and these people are so humble and so sincere. They left some of their signs behind, and I went to give them the signs, and his dad came up to me. He had just come back from Palestine, and I don't know if you guys heard a big boom a couple of days back. Maria, did you hear that big boom at about 3:30 at night?
No, what happened?
Oh,
Oh, the Pleiade meteor showers are starting early, I guess. I
Oh,
usually get up around that time, and literally the house shook.
Oh,
And then Facebook started lighting up with comments as to what was that sound? What was that sound? From all over the suburbs over here. And yesterday there was a news item that it was a meteorite that crashed into Bolingbrook.
whoa.
wow.
And I was talking to, this gentleman who owns the Taste of Jerusalem. He has just come back from Jerusalem. And I said, you know what? That sound woke me up. What was it like when you were in Jerusalem? And he was there like just last week. He said, oh, we hear that all the time. And we hear the buzzing of the drones overhead all the time.
Wow.
He said, we are so used to it. What can we do about it? Yeah, we can talk about it, folks. Our
Yes.
money is being used to kill innocents overseas. It's time someone put a stop to it. And that someone is going to be we, the people. Not we, the Democratic Party leadership, not we, the Republican Party leadership. These guys are all bought and paid for by the lobbyists. Okay,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
enough of my ranting. Okay, but this,
You're on a roll today, brother.
hey, it is because of the halal fest. Remember that,
I
okay?
know it got you all excited. If I could do one thing, because this would be about the time when Chris and I have our segment, the District Watch. So I'm going to make a plug for our own segment next
Go ahead,
week.
please.
We're having Susanna Ibarra on our show, and she is a firebrand elected trustee to the Joliet City Council, and she almost single-handedly is fighting the data centers down there. And I know she might be a little legally tied when it comes to what she can and cannot say about this because they love to tie up people. But she'll be on the show and she'll be talking about that next Sunday. So we look forward to having her.
Absolutely, and Susanna has been a good friend
Injured in
over
an
the
accident?
years. And I just want to end off the segment with this message from our friend Riz, who's sponsoring the show now. And great guy, and all he does is personal injury law. So if you got issues with somebody running into you, or you got something happened at work, he does workman's comp and stuff like that also. So here is a message from Riz Ali, the injury lawyer.
Injured in an accident? Ticketed for DUI or traffic violations?
Okay, I think I spoke about Riz, and he's going to be sending me a new version of his ad that we can start playing in his voice. And 8:57, we are coming up to the end of our first hour, and I just wanted to go back again and talk a little bit about what the heck is happening in the world that we are living in, folks. And we started off with Todd, Blanche, and I want to finish off this hour with the upcoming midterms. Are the 2026 elections becoming a referendum on Donald Trump? Or are voters beginning to reclaim their independence from both political parties? What say you?
Well, I think that that the voters are waking up, and it's going to more or less be a referendum on having the government back in control of the people. I think they're waking up. I think it's a good thing. And I hope that what they've done in the primaries holds over for the general election in November.
Well, I hope so. I hope so. And again, keep listening to the Lightning Strike, folks. And look at our Substack also. I have a Substack, and you can go on Substack and check it out. It is TLS 820 host. TLS always for everything. The Lightning Strike 820 is the station that we are on, and host is me. Okay, so TLS 820 host. Check Substack out and follow the conversation. Follow the conversation. So important. And not just follow the conversation yourself. Talk to your family first. Talk to your friends. Talk to your neighbors. Don't be afraid to talk to your neighbors about what is happening in our country. I know politics is a dirty word, okay? So this is not about politics. This is about taking back our life. This is taking back our country from these vested interests that have unending wars all over the world. You know what? America is the only country that talks about human rights all over the world and helps to squish them in selective countries. What say you?
Well, that sounds like a question for Maria.
The
Well,
question, yeah. Well, I would answer it in a way that we advocate for human rights in places abroad historically that have resources that we can use for our own economic gain. Once we're able to address human rights issues and sanction these states, we can actually also engage with them in a way where they can appeal to what we need for them economically. And so globally that has been, we all know that that's been the mode of operation in many ways, right? Human rights has been a stick that we can use to allow different nations to come to where we are as far as what we need from them. But what's interesting is that now that presentation that we have consistently made to the global community is becoming transparent because of the violations of human rights within our own borders, right? So if you look at what is happening with ICE and the way that individuals are being treated, it's shocking, including silencing people for freedom of speech issues, including dehumanizing ways of how they are taken in and how families are separated and how young children are separated from their parents. They're all dehumanizing. They're a violation of human rights, absolutely. And I think, unfortunately, we are looking at ICE right now, so it's fresh and present for us. But you don't have to go far back to look at the way our country has made money over the prison system, right? And incarcerating people, and it has allowed towns to make money off incarceration, which is also in many ways dehumanizing for individuals that needed to be rehabilitated. So to your question would say you, the response is that the message of human rights, we have to walk the walk and talk the talk. And what's fantastic is in the midterms, we are seeing individuals understanding that responsibility, advocating for that responsibility, and then inspiring that responsibility in so many people. So that is beautiful to see. I think truth and courage is refreshing. And I think that's what people are responding to, actually, right? When you look at even Abdul Said's victory, I'll go into that in my session because I was there in Michigan. But I will say that what's refreshing to voters is just a very clear, direct identification of what we are seeing. Situation as it is, reality as it is, the double standards as they are. And I think that's beautiful for people to see that it's possible to speak in those terms, because then we are awakened to that responsibility and realize it is really we the people to take that on.
Yep, and excuse me, and that is so true, Maria. And I think people are finally waking up out of their slumber, because here's what happened. Okay, even going back to the stimulus checks that were sent out. Oh yeah, you know what? We're going to throw you some crumbs that fell off the table. That should keep you happy. We're getting stimulus money. What else do you want? Meanwhile, Trump and his cohorts are just gobbling up the cake, okay, and the table that the cake is on, and expect us to stay quiet. I'm so glad the progressive thinking, the progressive agenda is progressing now, okay? But 9:03, folks, we are at a break on the station for the top of the hour from NBC News. And I wanted to again talk about August 15th in Chicago. There is going to be the official launch of Mustache. It's a locally made movie, which is a 90s, it's set in the 90s coming of age comedy drama. It follows Ilyas, a 13-year-old Pakistani American, navigating public school life, cultural expectations, and his unwanted mustache that his parents forbid him to shave. Reminds me of, I started growing a mustache when I was in 9th grade, okay? So I can understand what is happening with this kid. So this movie is blending humor with the themes of identity, assimilation, self-acceptance. Okay, it's going to be at the Talif Collective in Chicago. The Talif Collective is at 1945 South Halsted Street in Chicago in the evening on August 15th. Go check it out. you can reach back to us for more information. TLS
And if I
Radio.
may,
Yes, Maria, go ahead, please.
if I may say a little bit about the movie,
Yep.
my brother is very close to the creation team. He's a screenwriter in LA. He speaks very highly of Imran Khan, who has really put his heart and soul into this story. And I think what is beautiful about it is for everyone to support it and watch it. But what's beautiful is when you think about what we have seen as a country recently in San Diego, right? If you want to humanize and understand and bring it really close to you, is that in San Diego we saw a Islamic center shot up, which included a school, which had little kids in Islamic school hiding under their desks.
Yep, we all remember that.
And yeah, and I think it's very important for us to understand that the real purpose of this movie is to bring out the reality and humanize people that are dehumanized and see children as children. And I think it's a kind of a ode. They say it's an ode to like the John Hughes types of movies, and really what what is so similar about kids going through these different phases, and that's how we're really going to change the narrative. So I'm excited that we're promoting the movie, and I'm excited that people are going to get to know kids as kids in this, and this is how we're going to really change the narrative in people's minds around dinner tables at home,
Yep, and
So-
Maria, you're going to be there, right?
I'm going to be there. Yeah, I'm going to be there.
Wonderful, because my daughter Juhi is taking the lead on getting this thing in Chicago for the premiere. So folks, try to come up, okay? This movie is directed by Imran Khan with Alicia Silverstone and Rizwan Manji. Hassan Minhaj, remember Hassan Minhaj, the comedian guy? He's going to be in the movie, and part of the movie now, Emma Jones. These are all the people behind this wonderful attempt, again, to bridge the gaps, to bridge the communities together and build bridges in our country. That's going to be on August 15th, next Sunday. So we do the show in the morning. We're going out to the South Asia Institute in the afternoon, where they are premiering a documentary that they had made on the experiences of South Asians in the country coming back from other countries over here. I am in the documentary, by the way, looking good as always. Okay,
As always.
as always.
What
Mike.
year? What year did you arrive?
I came into the country in 1983.
Okay.
So it's a little bit over 42, 43 years now.
Yeah.
And the South Asia Institute actually is doing they were doing an oral history gathering. So they invited about 19 people who came into this country and who are all in our 60s and 70s now. And the two people from our community that were featured in this, there are actually three, I guess. Sadruddin Noorani is one of them. Sadrubhai's story is going to be their fascinating story. Okay, he was in the Navy. He came with his buddies overseas, and they were sitting in a restaurant, and time slipped by, and their little boat that went back to the ship went back without them, leaving them here in the country. So when you hear stories like that, it is so fun. But that is what is happening at the South Asia Institute. I think it's from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And that is the South Asia Institute on Michigan Avenue. Okay, South Michigan Avenue. And then from there we are going to come over to the Talib Collective for Mustache, the official release of the movie over here. It's 9:09, folks. We have got Congresswoman Marie Newman joining us, and we would like to welcome her to the Lightning Strike. Again, if you would like to join the conversation, the number to call is 773-763-9278. Our segment is What's on Your Mind, and it's sponsored by our good friend Ray Hanania of Hanania.com, Hanania. And before I bring Marie in for her official segment, I would definitely like to give a shout out to Hassan Nijam, the president of the American Arab Chamber of Commerce. His son, Ammar Nijam, is getting married today in Chicago
Oh,
in the evening, and we are going to be there to celebrate in person with Hassan and Amar and their family. Good morning, Mari.
Good morning. How is everyone today?
Oh, well,
Good morning.
morning. Good, thanks.
peachy,
Good.
peachy. We are so lucky that Maria joined us early today. So we've been
Nice.
having a lot of great conversations as to how we as a country are talking about, from both sides of our mouth when we talk about human rights all over the world, and
Right.
then we crush human rights in our own country.
Yeah. It is the hypocrisy is large and wide, right?
Yep.
Um, frustrating. Well, I was listening in a little bit, and I have to tell you, I think interestingly, people don't, it's not even completely on their subconscious as voters and just all citizens, is that human rights piece. I think they know something's really bothering them about our country and about how we treat people and if in fact we're respectful, if we, include everybody, all those things, right? But they can't put their finger on it. But I think they're starting to put their finger on it because they're realizing, wow, some of these newer candidates that have new ideas understand this inherently, right? And I think that's why we're seeing this big shift. We had a big week. By the way, everybody, welcome to Ignore at Your Risk. So good to be here. Gorgeous day in Chicago. I hope it's gorgeous where you are. Um, Folks, we have an interesting opportunity. This team, I often call us activist radio, right? Is that we talk from an activist standpoint. And the word activist means to both activate, but also to advocate for. And that's kind of we see it as our job, right? So one of the things that I think is getting tested this week in the Democratic Party, particularly from the activists and advocacy side, but also those candidates, those progressive candidates. What we're seeing, folks, is that all types of voters are gravitating towards progressives. It is not just the far left, it is independents, it is rank and file Democrats that have maybe even called themselves centrist or moderate before, maybe even still do. And the reason they're moving over to progressives is because there's real solutions. If you looked at a centrist platform or a conservative Democrats platform, there's really no platform, right? They say, well, gosh, we're going to keep healthcare. Well, what does that mean? That means you're going to continue the status quo, right? When they say, oh gosh, we're going to protect your rights, that means we're going to maintain the status quo. So I think, and it's very clear when you actually interview moderate and centrist voters that, oh my gosh, they're realizing, wow, status quo ain't so great, right? So this week has been pivotal. I saw a lot of conservative and centrist Dems on all of the platforms, on all the social media platforms, but also on radio and TV and in all the places, kind of put themselves into knots and say, oh well, the fact that Dr. Abdul El Sayed won in Michigan is a fluke. Well, now that fluke is like 15 deep, folks. I hate to tell you that progressives are really winning a great deal. I mean, Mila Kuros beat a 30-year Democratic establishment person in Colorado. In Pennsylvania, Chris Robb beat out two establishment player. In Illinois, Daniel Biss, who's not even super, super progressive, but fairly progressive, beat a well-funded to the tune of $10 million establishment player. In New York, two progressive DSA folks beat out establishment incumbents that had been there 10 and 20 years. California, Randy Villegas beat the establishment. In Michigan, both, and we should be clear, is that not only did Dr. El Sayed beat a highly, I guess, popular conservative Democrat in Haley Stevens, but also in Michigan 7, progressives won, and in Michigan 13, Donovan McKinney beat out a very corporatized Democrat in Congressman Thanedar. So it's moving. Then in the Senate, let's look. So look, James Talarico just, and Jasmine Crockett has done a great job in Congress, but she's not progressive. James Talarico, more progressive, kind of a progressive populist, beat Jasmine Crockett in the primary. And then Penny Flanagan up in Minnesota is up several points against a very, very conservative. I served with her. And so it's happening, folks. And so to say that it's not is a little bit silly. But what's being tested the most, and this is interesting, is that not only are voters really gravitating towards real solutions that progressives are providing, things like Medicare for all and a livable wage, whether it's 15 or 23, and taxing billionaires, they also now the shoe is on the other foot. For the last 15 years, when centrists would win primaries, they would ask their progressive opponent, hey, can you get on board and help me? And we said yes every time. So we jumped in, right? And all the supporters and all the things, right? Conversely, when in the past 10, 15 years, when progressives have won, which was less of the time, and asked their centrist supporters in their district or wherever to get on board, wow, that was really hard for them. They really couldn't do it. Similarly in Congress, folks. So there is a caucus that is very centrist and really doesn't like to do anything because they feel like they'll get in trouble with somebody. So it's called the New Dem Caucus. And whenever we ask them to get on board with a centrist piece or with a progressive piece of legislation like Medicare for all or any of the economic issues, it would be a big fat no. So the classic example was during Build Back Better, we wanted to keep strong immigration protections and healthcare protections and childcare protections, allowing for universal healthcare. And they would not have it. In fact, they held us hostage for days, this group of 9 led by a very conservative Dem named Josh Gottheimer. So my point is that centrists have not always wanted to support progressives, but progressives pretty much get in line every time. So now I have some good news for you is that I think there's some leadership happening with Congresswoman Haley Stevens, in fact, conceded, was gracious, endorsed Dr. El Sayed, and got on board right away. So did Gretchen Whitmer and a few others. But I'm telling you, if conservative and centrist Democrats do what they did to Mayor Mamdani, they're going to be in a whole world of hurt. Everybody's got to unify and get on the bus. And that means establishment players, corporate players in the Democratic Party have to get on the progressive bus and support these progressive players, or we're not going to get the Senate majority back. So word to the wise, tell your friends that are centrists and corporatized, hey, look, this is just pragmatism. You got to get on the progressive bus or else we're not going to win. So that's your bit of activation for the week on that front. Now, when we do win, I said hopefully, I think we get out of the box and we act like it. Whenever we win, we never act like it. Be a proud peacock. Do it. This is what the Republicans do every time, and then they hold on to things for fairly long. So let's be fair. Let's, be the constitutionalists. I think that it is fair to say now that the Democrats are the constitutionalists because the Republicans don't follow the Constitution ever. So let's go ahead and grab that mantle. And let's go ahead and get those things reversed that were horrifying. So all of the money that was taken away from Medicaid and Medicare and USAID and Department of Education, NIH, the list is long, right? Get that back. Let's go ahead and abolish ICE and create a new system that is just and humane and keeps our still our border safe, but allows for assimilation of immigrants and takes care of them, just like they take care of the rest of and do it legally, right? Bring back the Consumer Financial Bureau. Start treating the federal workforce better. Rebuild all of the DEI programs everywhere and fund them. And most importantly, interestingly, because it's the basis of all of our systems, is reinforcing the Voting Rights Act, rather. Strengthen our laws. A Democratic majority not only is a restoration agenda, but is now an opportunity to innovate and invent. So let's go ahead and stop whispering and chatting about Medicare for all and get it done. There are 20 different models. So every time I say Medicare for all, like, oh, well, vision and dental's not in there. It's like, yeah, right now it's not. That is correct. But we're building a model, right? So let's use this incredible apparatus that is large and wide and largely well done. Yes, there are problems with Medicare. Let's fix those. Let's add in vision and dental and all the things and make sure everybody's taken care of in this country and our Our mortality rates will be significantly better, our quality of care, and our physicians will be doing better as well, and healthcare providers. So let's go ahead and get all of that done, folks, right? Um, a couple of other topics on when we get back into power, really important. As activists and voters and any resident of any district, make sure that you give Democrats a chance when they get in, but a chance is earned, right? Is give them a few weeks to get their footing. But what you can tell them right now, I hope, with four underlines, I hope you are preparing. I hope you're preparing an agenda that makes sense and you've prioritized the most important things first, like get healthcare restored, Medicaid and Medicare, get that restored as soon as possible. Make sure that you rein in all of this incredible unlawful behavior by this president. Make sure we stop these wars and get to a place where we're respected again in the world. So tell your folks when they get into Congress in January of 2027. But before then, look, be ready this time. I'll give you an example. In 2024, when we lost everything, that horrible document, Project 2025, of which 50% has been implemented already in 2 years. 50% of Project 2025 has been implemented. We knew about that for a year. Not one person wrote a document, planned for it, strategized, or was ready to implement it on day one. In community work and advocacy work and nonprofit work, community work, and in businesses large and small, you get ready for the worst and you get ready for the best. And that's what our Democratic leaders have to do every single time moving forward. Learn the lesson. So tell them that. A couple of other things that are a little bit interesting right now is remind our Democratic friends 45% of this nation are now independent voters. That is not up for debate. It has been verified in almost every single electorate poll that identifies, and it might be more like 55. And by the way, under folks under 50, it's probably more like 50 or 55. So this magical fairyland they keep resting in called the center doesn't exist. So remember that, no center. But there are folks that vote on issues, and they're called independent voters, and it's 45% of the electorate. You have, in order to win and be able to govern properly, you have to get independents to come in as well as Democrats. Democrats of every type. Back to the Big Ten. Let's all accept each other and live together and compromise. That doesn't mean that we dilute down bills, by the way. So let's talk about that. One of the things that's super attractive about centrists and moderates is it sounds so good, right? Wow, that sounds cozy. Like moderate, oh, it's not too brazen. We're not going to get in trouble with anybody. But what happens then is you end up with watered down solutions and you end up with a very angry electorate. Back to my original point, folks don't want watered down solutions anymore. So they're really shunning centrists and moderates because, oh my gosh, I don't want watered down solutions. I want someone that has a plan and is ready to execute. I had Dr. Abdul Sayed in my podcast on Substack, gosh, probably a couple of weeks ago now. And I asked specifically, I'm going to ask you a couple of specifics. And one, how would you implement Medicare for all? And he had a great answer. And now I'm biased because this is how I would have implemented it, is that you can implement Medicare for all with in stages and in phases. You can implement it amongst the most vulnerable first, so those that are sick and elderly and young people under 26. And then you can move it across, from there and go to every demographic after that. You can do it by state. You can do it in any number of ways, but you can phase it in. And you can take all of those employees that are currently at places like United Healthcare and Blue Cross Blue Shield and assimilate them into the system. So we're still going to need all the people that run healthcare. And we're still going to have all the same doctors and all the same great nurses and NPs and PAs and orderlies and all those folks that do amazing work every day. They're just going to be in a system that works better and isn't driven by profit. So remember, and I'll leave you with this and I'll hand it back to Maria, is when our healthcare system was nonprofit up until the 80s, it actually functioned better. So whether it is a combination of government, nonprofit, and some business providers, meaning that we use our formerly healthcare insurance companies as vendors or not. It has to be driven by folks that care about care and healthcare more than they do about profit. So, with that, I'm going to hand it over to my friend Maria.
Thank you, thank you, Marie. You forgot Francisca Hong in Wisconsin.
She is, and that's an interesting one for me. I'm not going to comment because I have some opinions.
Okay. So,
but she does embrace Democratic Socialist group, which is great.
To a certain extent, but I do have an issue with some of the other stuff that she's against.
Yeah, I mean, there's
not celebrating Thanksgiving and.
I mean, and by the way, that's
really
just silly. Like, I'm not worried about the silly things that Republicans say about Thanksgiving or not say, but I'm more concerned that she doesn't seem to have as articulate a plans as Dr. Abdul Sayed. She just may not have had a chance to articulate them yet. I look for progressives and Democratic Socialists with plans. Good example, Mamdani. He had a plan, and man, he is filling potholes, right? He is doing it. And so I want a Democratic Socialist or a progressive with a plan that's very specific. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing that from Ms. Hong, but maybe she does, and she hasn't had an opportunity.
Well, we'll see what happens. But before you join the conversation, Chris had a great comment on the so-called centrist Democrats. Chris, what do you call them?
I called them squids or Reagan Republicans with a D after their name. Take your pick. They're interchangeable. But SQD, status quo Dems.
Yeah.
Squids.
Okay.
I like it.
So we have some pretty interesting conversation before you joined us, Marie, and Chris was on fire this morning on talking about.
I can't imagine.
Okay. But it's about 9:27. I want to take a quick break for a couple of seconds and go back to one of our supporters now, and that is going to be attorney Riz Ali, who is an injury lawyer. I just want to play a quick message from him, and then we'll continue the conversation with Maria.
Injured in an accident? Ticketed for DUI or traffic violations? You need Riz Injury Law on your side. Attorney Riz Ali fights for you, specializing in auto accidents, medical malpractice, slip and falls, traffic tickets, DUI and DWI. Call 312-546-5109 now. That's 312-546-5109. One more time, 312-546-5109. Your story matters, and Riz Injury Law will fight to make sure you get justice. Visit RizInjuryLaw.com or stop by 35 East Wacker Drive, Suite 650 in Chicago, Illinois, 60601. That's Riz Injury Law. Justice, compensation, results. Call 312-546-5109.
Okay, and welcome back to the Lightning Strike, folks. We met Riz in the Halal Fest yesterday. His booth was right next to ours. His table was right next to ours. We had a nice conversation, and young attorney, and he is making a difference. I also ran into a gentleman who said, "Oh, I just started working with this multi-billion-dollar insurance company, and I would love to." I said, "Hang on a second. Please, we are going to take advertising from small and medium businesses and not big corporations like yours." And he was kind of stuck with, "Hey, I wanted to support the show." I said, "Yeah, no thanks, but no thanks." But if you want to get your message on the radio, folks, we are going to be starting to take these small and medium businesses that we can promote who have a similar agenda as ours. And Ms. Hernandez is leading that part of the team over here. You can reach Ms. at miz@tlsradio.com. It is 9:29. Let's welcome back Maria Mozaffar for her take on breaking the echo chamber. Good morning, Maria.
Good morning. I think Marie broke the echo chamber on many things. I think about what we have just experienced this past week and maybe the week before as well with all these victories. And I think about really what moved the needle. I definitely think that people are looking for plans. People are looking for substantive steps that they know that they're going to hold their candidates accountable for taking, right? But I also think that the analysis of why people want to keep the status quo, right? The conservative Democrats. And I think reason why we've been stuck for so long is because it became about winning elections. Let's make sure that we don't, tip the district. Let's make sure that we don't take any risk. Let's just do what works. This has worked in the past. It's going to work again. And I think when it becomes about winning elections, the candidate themselves and once that they're in office, they're all focused on that. The conversation is, do you have your war chest ready? Now that you've won, do you have your war chest ready to be able not to be put out of office? So much time is spent in making sure that your seat is secure. What's different about new candidates that come in? And this is just a systematic observation, and why we need a turnover of fresh representation is when a new person comes in, they come in with those ideas and those innovative techniques and strategies that they want to implement, that they know has not been sitting in a little closet battling whether they can keep their seat or not. They've never had a seat. Right. So, and that's when you have the best of ideas and the best of strategies. And I think that is really how we can distinguish between why status quo exists and why new energy and new representation is significant and important. If you were to respond to say, well, the progressive agenda or the progressive strategies or people who don't know how the system works are really claiming that the system is too complicated for those that are not inside the system, well, then nobody could ever unseat the incumbent, right? Nobody should have a right to even enter into the process. And that's not the electoral democratic process. The process is to be able to have new ideas. So yes, you're going to have people that have never served before. That's okay. As a country, we are willing to take that chance, and we're willing to invite that because we know that is how ideas turn over to something better. And I think also something did also change in the last 2.5, 3 years. And it's something that we can't ignore. And that is that there was a live streamed genocide. And it's very important for us to keep thinking about that because it turned the tables of how people communicate. And it's interesting because a lot of times people will say, we talk about human rights, we talk about foreign policy, we talk about genocide. And now we're looking at progressive candidates win on local issues, such as affordability. And I think that we are cognizant of the fact that the average American, when shown facts and shown illustrations of who we are and what we can be, we live in both worlds. We live in domestic and foreign policy because we have family members that are soldiers and we have sons and daughters that are serving. So it does matter why we send them, what they give their lives for, what they stand for, how we represent ourselves across the border. And it matters for the families they leave behind of what they can afford to have a life that is dignified. So I think having an agenda that's always in discussion of foreign and domestic policy is so important. And I don't think in this specific time we can ignore the presence of genocide because there is an analysis of why Kamala Harris was not successful, who held herself out to be a moderate conservative. And the reason is because she was not able to speak the terms that now progressives are openly speaking and winning on, which is identifying certain foreign policy issues as they should be. And so I just think it's interesting because we can never I think, step away from the responsibility of tying the foreign and domestic. Because if we don't do that, we will become a nation that is only looking inward. And if we only look inward, we are not responsible for how we're presenting ourselves and doing our dealings outside. But that ultimately impacts how the world sees us and how the world engages with us, which includes international business and economic policies and tariffs and where people stand with us on the global stage. So I think that's very important. The other thing I wanted to say is that I had said in the last show last week, and then I'm a big supporter of Dr. Abdul Sayed. We've supported him in many capacities, and I was able to drive 5 hours in the morning to Michigan and attend the watch party and drive back 5 hours back. And I got to tell you, I think the audience was diverse and inspired and excited because they knew that this was someone who was bringing in energy to bring strategies and solutions, like Maria is saying. And I think that what was more powerful to me than anything else is that things that seemed so complex when you listen to them on CNN, and when there's political pundits that talk about what's really going to work and what's not going to work, and it's a little bit complicated, and domestic policy issues are complicated, affordability is complicated, foreign policy is complicated, is that people responded to the simplicity. People really responded to just the bare nuts and bolts of what issues are. And I think about the conversation that I was listening to with Tahanasi Coates, just a prolific writer. And I found his remarks so fantastic. He was on a podcast with Hassan Minhaj. And he talked about a beautiful phrase he said. He talked about, we have really we have valued intellectual analysis over wisdom. And I think that's a powerful phrase, because intellectual analysis can really defend the most atrocious, unjust policies in the name of it's complicated. You know, this is too complex. There's so many different sides to this issue. And a lot of atrocious situations have been defended for this reason. But basic wisdom keep it very simple. And so I think when we had our fundraiser the other night, I responded to a question that was asked of how do you really change people's minds? And I said, well, but if you see things as simple as they are on a basic human level, people respond, right? If your grandmother, after working a job and raising a family, cannot get prescription meds for herself in her late 70s and has to decide whether she's going to pay rent or pay medicine, that should literally stir your soul. That's how basic it is. And I think that's what progressive responded to. That's what voters responded to. They understood the simplicity of it, and they understood that they were not going to be fooled by the phrase that this is just too complex. It's too complicated. Well, okay, if it's too complicated and complex, simplify it for me. And once you simplify it, that's when you start actually seeing, well, that doesn't seem right. Wait, towns make money off incarcerating people? That doesn't sound right. Wait, children are going to be separated from their parents doing ICE detentions? That doesn't sound right. There's an ICE agent knocking on the door and smashing the window of a car when there's a 5-year-old back in a car seat and she's watching her father be dehumanized. That doesn't sound right. These are very simple, basic human observations that really invoke a human need for, we need a strategy. We need a problem-solving strategy. And I think that does not fit well in the narrative that we got to protect our seat. And I'd be interested, and I'll end it here, Marie, working with conservative Democrats, moderate Democrats, and progressive Democrats. And there's a variety of issues in the progressive agenda and a variety of issues in any platform. No one has to agree with every single one. I just want to make that clear for people that people understand that when people run as a progressive or they run as a conservative, that doesn't mean they 100% support every single platform issue. It means that the majority of them they do, and they understand that they'll have to compromise. So you can't really identify one person as standing for everything, and there are nuances. But as you speak to these candidates, I wonder, have you felt a sense of energy that's different, a sense of urgency, I would say, that's different from individuals that are protecting their seats because they know that that is the way that they will be able to continue their position? And I don't mean to keep the seat for power. I just mean the feeling that we don't want certain issues or policies to be put in that will overturn what we have spent 15 years putting in. And is that energy of protecting our seat really hurt the Democratic Party in the long run?
Yeah. I'll answer it two ways. I'll respond to you said something incredibly sage when you from the outset is that the minute you get into Congress, people are forcing you to get your quote unquote war chest in place.
Right.
And honestly, it was like one of the biggest mistakes I made. I didn't fundraise hardly at all because I
Mhm.
was busy, getting legislation out the door, and we were in COVID, and dropping off infant formula to moms and dads. Like, so at the end of the day, the fact that we force people into an ongoing campaign cycle and worrying about that power and worrying about this keeping the seat is really crazy, right? So, and I've often
Mhm.
said that members of the House should have a 4-year term and Senate 6, right? Or
Mhm.
both 4. So that's one way to solve it, but
Yeah.
it is ludicrous that we force that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, and I think it distracts the candidates themselves before they even get
Oh,
working. They have to be focused on protecting their seat.
yeah.
So, just for the audience's sake, how just explain the strategy of actually moving that conversation of having a 4-year term for representatives versus 2. What are your thoughts on that strategy, and why is there pushback against that? Because you would think that individuals would want that, so they would want to stay longer.
Yeah. So it goes back to money, right? Is that
Yeah.
so? Leadership is torn on this, I would say, is that, and it doesn't matter if they're conservative, progressive, or otherwise, right? They're just torn on this because having money and the 2-year combination and the pressure of those two keeps those members that don't raise money very well over a barrel, right? It keeps them in
Mm,
line. So it's a means by which to keep members in line because, well, you only have 2 years and I have the money, so you better stay in line. So that's one. Two is that you can develop legislation, and there's been legislation developed to go to a 4-year term, let's be honest, and even a 3-year term would be better. But you have establishment can't decide if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think the electorate gets tired too. Like I think in this energy that you're hearing and I'm hearing and everybody on this panel is hearing from all these candidates is that, let's get in there and do some great work. I'm ready to go and I am prepared. Let's not be distracted by other things. So I think the energy around having a longer term for the U.S. House members, there is energy to do it, and it's just a matter of legislation. Look, this thing can be
mm.
that's a 3-page bill. Let's just be honest. Like that's not a.
Yeah,
Some of
absolutely.
these bills are. I mean, I have read bills that are 2,000 pages long when I was in Congress,
Right.
and this one is a 3-pager. I got to tell you.
Right. Agreed.
It's like get that done, and but it will, as always, it has to come from all of us, right? It has to come from activists like all of us, advocates, standard rank and file Democrats, because the Republicans will never go for this because they like nothing better than to be on the campaign trail all the time and not do anything. Like that's their
Yeah.
favorite, right?
well,
So,
that is
Mm-hmm.
something, Marie, that I have been advocating for quite some time now. Why do we have a 6-year term for the Senate and 2 years for Congress?
Yeah.
Now you have nailed it. That the
Yep.
party is okay. We have the money, and you better do what we are saying,
the
or
means for
you're
control.
out. Okay, it should be at least
Mm-hmm.
4 years. But I wanted to also end off the day today by focusing on something that Maria brought up, and that is ICE. And
Mm.
most people are not aware that there are two big private companies, the Geo Group and Core Civic,
Mm-hmm.
which are operating most of the ICE facilities. Okay,
Yeah. Tons of money.
most people are also not aware that according to Trump's latest, uh, what do you call it, his disclosures, Trump's brokers made 29 trades involving Geo Group and Core Civic
Yeah,
since he returned to office.
I saw that.
These transactions are totaling like over $200,000 and $990,000. And the first purchases occurred just 10 days into his second term. So you talk about corruption, and these are the two largest private prison companies heavily involved in ICE detention.
Yeah.
Trump's defense is like, oh, I don't know, my brokers place those things. No, hang on one second. What about Tom Homan? I'm going to probably dig into this more for next week.
Good.
Homan previously received compensation from GeoCare, which is a Geo Group subsidiary, before returning to the government. Now, a database based on Trump administration financial disclosures identifies that compensation and his role at Homeland Strategic Consulting. That was the company, okay? Now, Homan is now one of the administration's most influential figures in immigration enforcement, and this is such a mess. There's another guy called David, what is his name? Venturella, who's the acting ICE director. Venturella worked for Geo Group from 2012 through 2023, later serving as a consultant until January 2025. He then entered the Trump administration and became acting ICE director. He has since divested his Geo stock and recused himself from Geo-related detention contracts. But there are so many others. At least 3 extremely prominent Trump administration figures have documented direct financial or professional connections to the private detention industry. Donald Trump, Tom Homan, and David Venturella.
Well, I think, Mohammed, I think there's 2 ways that I would respond to this. I think the analysis that you made, could be argued that it's complicated. It's complex. It's complicated. There's so many angles to this. When the reality is, the simplified version is that we are using the national security charter and document and telling people that we have to protect our borders to keep Americans safe by creating a narrative against a subset group of people in our nation that have built our nation and helped our nation as well. Every day they have. And we have used that as an excuse to be able to be used as individuals that can provide profit by being put in detention centers. And that should stir your soul. That should make it very uncomfortable for you. That's pretty simple.
I have a question that I want to bring up over here, Maria. In 2025, Geo Group's profit reportedly has reached $254 million, compared with the $32 million the previous year. You see the jump from $32 million to $254 million? And then Geo Group has received more than $2 billion in ICE contracts. And this creates a question. When the government decides who gets arrested, who gets detained, and how many detention beds America needs, should the people making those decisions have financial or professional relationships with the companies getting paid to house those detainees?
Let me interject real quick.
Go ahead, please, Mike.
Marie hit the nail on the head when she said it. Marie, it's not complicated. The complication comes after the realization that it's all about profits. It's about making money. It's about profits. And now the explanation why they want to make the profits and try to justify it and gaslight everybody into not thinking it's really profits, that it has to do with some kind of convoluted policy program that they're all trying to contrive. Right. So, it's not complicated. It's profits.
Well, and in the process, there have been $1 billion made with ICE contracts and with the detention centers. And there were billions of dollars given to the Department of Homeland Security, but there's just not enough money for body cameras for every single agent.
Okay.
Something doesn't add up. And I think that we have to make it as simple as following the money and then identifying that no eyes are supposed to be watching this whole process. But I go back to what Marie started her session with. She considers our conversation a conversation that is being had with activists, and I want to define activists beyond just advocating. But activists are people, are individuals, and it's a mindset of being awake. That's really what it means. It means you're not asleep. And when you get very, very comfortable and your basic needs are met, and maybe even more than your basic needs are met, that's when we lean back and we consider other people's problems, not our problems. And we do get very comfortable. And I think being an activist means is consistently staying awake that right now your circumstance is okay, but somebody else
Right.
is getting hurt. So when it comes down to you, when the ball gets thrown to you, you better be able to say, I stood up for somebody else and I know how to now stand up for myself. And it's going to be an independent relationship. And I think that's what makes an activist, is that they do not pass the buck. And I'm so happy to be with all of you, for people
Okay.
who don't
Well,
pass
look,
the
look
buck.
at look how hard they've been trying to make woke a bad word for so long. Woke. Oh, you're woke. Well, it's just like you just said. You're awake and you're paying attention and you're trying to
Yeah,
figure out how to help people every day.
that's it.
Yep,
That's it.
and
That's what we're all
I'm
doing.
so glad, Marie, you called us activist radio. That is such a great term for what we are trying
It
to
is.
do over here. Again, we are trying to, Mike, going back to Woke, yeah, we are trying to wake people up to the realities of what the heck is happening. Maria, I mean, $2 billion to Core Civic? Come on. And they are not even providing bathroom facilities in these
Oh,
ICE
yeah.
facilities. I mean, you heard
Yeah,
those
that's
horror
another.
stories?
That is fascinating, right? Is that there's money being given, but the facilities don't have any resources at all. So we have individuals that are sleeping without mattresses, that have heating and cooling issues, that have sanitary issues. So what is the money actually being used for? And I think the analysis really has to be one of, at the end of the day, even if you have decided that you are not going to publicly have a conflict of interest, where else is this money being spent? Right? Where else? And it's probably going into the war chests of different candidates that are trying to protect their seats. The other side of the
100%.
aisle.
Well,
Yeah.
That's what it looks like,
I
right?
am wide awake on this now, and I'm going to be digging into this. Okay, this and that's what I went to school for. My master's is communications and journalism, and investigative journalism was something that I loved when I was going to school. So yeah, I'm going to use some of those skills to get into this thing. It's 9:52, folks. We are on the lightning strike over here on WCPT. Marie is pointing at me and saying, "Shut up! I want to say
No,
something."
no, I wasn't pointing.
Okay,
I was saying,
Marie, go
hey,
ahead.
I just want to add to what
Yeah.
the entire team is talking about here. I just want everybody to be clear on what's really happening at those detention centers. Women are being raped and young
Yeah.
boys are being raped. I want to be
Hmm.
clear on that. That's just a known fact and proven. People are on hunger strikes. This hunger strike issue is a really big deal. And now they're force feeding them. And let me spend a hot second on that. So they are force feeding with the old fashioned, I don't know if anyone has ever seen these contraptions. They did it to women's rights activists in the early 1900s. They would, while they were in prison, would strap them to a chair, and then a large device that looks like the claw in those machines that are in kids' places
Grocery
where you
stores.
grab toys, right? Like the toy grabber. It looks like that, goes down their throat, and there's a tube, and force feeds them into their stomach. So the tube is centered down, and that's what they're doing right
Beautiful.
now. I just want to be clear
Wow.
on that visual. They're force
Disgusting.
feeding kids and adults that are going through hunger strikes. They're being raped. They're not having their needs met. Several, up to 30 people have died because they haven't received medication or treatment that they need, based on diabetes and other issues. And so these concentration camps, and I will, and my dear friend Mohammed, I have to make one correction. Operating is a loose word. They're not operating these concentration camps. They're forcing them down our throats and then not operating them. Because if you were an operator or a business person, you actually would operate. There are no operations, there's no services. So
Hmm.
Nothing.
Yeah.
all of that, folks, be clear what these places are. They are modern day concentration camps. In fact, I would offer that some of the gulags and pogroms and concentration camps in other times might have been slightly better than what we have right now. They're
Oh,
awful.
absolutely. Absolutely, Marie. This is the United States version of the Gestapo.
Yeah.
Well, and I
Unbelievable.
again would like to point out that none of the corporate-owned legacy media are talking about these things, Marie. You don't hear that on any of the legacy
Yeah.
medias, right?
Right. Agree.
even on the social
Absolutely
media
not.
channels or anywhere else. That is where we come in, folks.
Yeah.
This is the
Uh,
Lightning Strike Radio. Please go
that's not who
to,
we are, but we are right. I mean, when people
yep,
say that's not who we are, well, right now we are.
yep. Please go to our website, TLS Radio for the lightningstrikeradio.com. Become a subscriber. You can subscribe to keep the show on the air for as low as $10 a month, or you can, donate any kind of money that you want through a link called the Bolt, which has no limit. So if you want to send us a lightning bolt, if you have the money in your pocket burning a hole, we want to make a difference, yeah, come back and support us. And we will be taking small and medium business advertising messages that align with our values. You have to align with our values. If not, no thank you. We don't want you. Ms. is going to be leading that effort for us. And you can reach Ms. at MIZ.
Hi, Miz. He's in the dark.
Yeah.
Yep, Ms. is sitting in the
Thank
dark,
you, Ms.
counting his chicks.
Thank you, Miz.
But MIZ, Ms. at tlsradio.com. And we got 5 minutes to finish off the show. So I
Well,
want to go ahead, please, Maria.
Well, I do wanted to take the information that we're giving the audience and the discussion we're having and give some suggestions of how one could advocate if you're listening to this and getting stirred up. The first thing is identify the nearest detention center that's around your area. And if there is one near you or the closest to you, find out who runs it and who owns it. So you have some intel and some information on that. I think that's very important, just to have the basic facts. And then, of course, recognize that you can call your senator, your representatives, and say, have you made an attempt to visit? Have you sent a letter of inquiry? And if you haven't made one, can you write one and then have individuals from your district sign on to it? Because that expands the discussion, right? So there's more eyes on it. And even though members of Congress are technically supposed to be able to enter into these facilities, they are being turned away. But to keep things front and center, I think that's very important. And then also there's spokes on the wheel. So there's three things that you can do. One is call your senator or call your representative, say, please write a letter for inquiry. I'll sign off on it. I'll have other of our neighbors sign off on it in support. If you plan a visit, we would like to join you. But if you are only able to go by yourself, let us know when you're going, what time you're going. Mm-hmm. And then call your local journalist and say that we as community members have reached out to our elected official saying that we want an inquiry in the detention center that's in our district. And we want to know what is happening. So the journalist is now on it. The elected official has written a letter and you've signed off on it. And now it has given itself legs to be able to keep an eye on this detention center. You know, unfortunately, because these are federally contracted detention centers, it feels like the local population and the elected representatives that are, you know, just statewide are not able to do what they need to do to move the needle. But the reason why we're here Sunday morning is that awareness actually does create momentum. It creates movements, it creates momentum, it creates stories, it creates narratives to the point where the door pushes open to truth and facts. And so take it as a thumbs up for playing your role and keeping the truth and facts in the center and keeping people awake to that, because this is how we're going to change circumstances for individuals that are in those detention centers. And I think also
Maria's so right. I just want to offer, Maria, that you really encapsulated what you can do as an individual, right? To make it even easier, folks, reach out to the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights. It's known as ICER. You just have to dump it into Google. And while we air across the Midwest, there's probably 15 of those immigrant groups across the Midwest, but ICER is the largest. Just go ahead and dump that in Google, and they'll be able to put you to work right away if you want to help. So
absolutely.
Indivisible.org, if you specifically want to work on immigration issues, they will get you up and running ASAP.
Let me interject.
9:59.
One second.
We got 60 seconds to finish off the show, Mike.
I got
give
one
you
second.
the final word. Keep it to 30 seconds.
I got final word.
Okay.
We're talking about detention centers, Bridgeview. Everybody knows that, right? Guess who the congressman in charge of that area, Bridgeview, is? Guess. You know? Sean Casten. All right? Sean Casten is doing nothing and has done nothing about Bridgeview.
And he will continue.
So you're wasting your time with letters with him.
Yep, and he'll continue to do nothing till he is pulled out of his office and shown the door. And we say thank you, Congressman. Don't let the door hit you on your way out. On that note, folks, 10 o'clock, we'll be finishing up the show today on the Lightning Strike. Please go to our website, tlsradio.com, to show your support. Thank you to Maria Mozaffar, Marie Newman, Chris Hilbert, Mike Patino, and Ms. Hernandez for joining us today. We'll be back on the air next week, same place, same time. Till then.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take it easy.